Apparently, you can already pre-order RTX 5090 systems, at least at one retailer. More on that in a minute, but we have a whole bunch of RTX 50 series leaks and rumors, as well as some other PC hardware news, followed by a whole bunch of early Black Friday GPU deals, and I can give my thoughts on all of this. But first, let's circle back around to the beginning. What? You can buy a 5090 already? Nvidia hasn't even officially announced 5090s. We're expecting that at CES in January. Well, that's not stopping the system vendor Camino. I could be pronouncing that wrong. I'm honestly not familiar with the company, but according to this Tom's Hardware article, they are a vendor that sells liquid-cooled server workstations, and apparently you can pre-order a system with a bunch of 5090s in it. Now, it doesn't seem to be the case that they actually have 5090s, and you're not going to get this right away or anything like that. It looks like they're just confident that 5090s are coming soon and they want people to start putting in pre-orders for it. So I'm not saying you should jump in on that, but this probably means, you know, again, all this 5090 stuff is coming very soon. People are, in the know quite a bit about it at this point. Speaking of that, we have headlines like this from videocards.com with Nvidia GeForce RTX 5090 GB202 GPU die reportedly measures 744 square millimeters, which would make it 20% larger than AD102, which was the flagship from the previous generation. Now, so first of all, how would anybody possibly know this? Do they actually know this? Again, this isn't official from Nvidia. So the source is, of course, leaks on Twitter. Now, when evaluating this type of source, you have to look at their track record. Mega-sized GPU has had some accurate leaks in the past. The types of leaks that would indicate they likely have some sort of connection to the supply chain, which would get early access to information as new generations of graphics cards come out. So this is likely to be accurate, although again, can't say for sure. Along right at the same time, we also had Hongxing 2020, who again also has leaked things indicating they probably have some contacts or are themselves within the supply chain for GPU board vendors, things like that, showing a picture of the next-gen PCIe 5.0 connector that we would expect to see on the 50 series GPUs. Now, this picture, combined with this type of information about the die size and package size, indicates that it is extremely likely that actual samples of a 5090 are probably available now to board manufacturers. That's pretty likely at this point. And again, that's where this type of information is likely coming from. Now, with that being said, that's where we then get to the comparison of it's 20% larger than the previous generation AD102. But how does it stack up against the overall flagship product from the last bunch of generations? Videocards.com helpfully threw this together. This is pretty cool. So that would mean that Blackwell would be 744 versus AD102 at 608. There's your 28% increase. But that doesn't mean that Blackwell's like unprecedented in its size. It's actually that AD102 was a bit smaller than a lot of the previous generations. Ampere maxed out with GA102 at 628. Turing maxed out with TU102 at 754, which is about the same size as what we're seeing here from Blackwell, slightly bigger actually. And then Volta was all the way up at 815 square millimeters, so actually noticeably larger than we got with Blackwell here. But then Maxwell was back around 600-ish, similar to Ada, and Kepler was around 551. Okay, so with all of this information, so what else can we learn from this? Again, this doesn't tell us anything about specifically the performance. Being 20% bigger doesn't mean 20% more powerful, or less, or more. It doesn't really tell us that. However, if the top-end chip is bigger, and then you're cutting down from there, do our lower end chips also end up bigger? In other words, where is the performance gains going to come from the 50 series? All the rumors are pointing to it being on a similar node to what we had with the 40 series. So if you're not getting a significant node advancement, where does the performance come from? One option is devote more die area to your GPUs. Now that can also come with more cost. But then also, we're expecting the move to GDDR7 memory, which would again give you a performance boost, depending especially on how memory constrained the performance was on the 40 series. Some cards like the 4090 in certain games with a memory overclock could actually scale fairly well, so having faster memory could indicate some scaling room available from that move to GDDR7. But we're also getting rumors about power consumption, which are indicating that these could consume more power as well. So by going with more power, more die area, combined with faster memory, I think that's where your generational performance gains come from. But new memory and more die area cost money, right? And more power consumption could mean more expensive coolers, etc. So my big caveat here is, how much is this all going to cost, right? How much is this going to cost? Now, the next best rumor we have on the 50 series is coming here from BenchLife. Now, I have this Google translated from Chinese into English, so excuse any machine learning translation errors, whatnot. They're actually initially referencing a leak from videocards.com, but then they are confirming it from their own sources within the board manufacturers and supply chain, and then expanding on it with some more details. So the headline is the power consumption of the entire card, speaking of the 5070 Ti, and that was what VideoCard's leak had originally been about. They're claiming 300 watts in the headline, but then later updated their post to say an AIC partner, so that would be add-in cards. So that's like, again, I don't know which company, but brands like MSI, Asus, those types of companies that they get their Nvidia GPU, but then they make their own version of the card, right? So the add-in card partners that they are familiar with, again, they're not going to give their exact source because then they get in trouble, mentioned that the current TGP of the 5070 Ti is actually 350 watts. So they've updated that to 350 watts. Anyway, so they're also saying that their sources at the add-in card manufacturers has confirmed VideoCard's leak, claiming from Copite7 Kimi was VideoCard source. And again, Copite has also leaked a bunch of stuff accurately in the past, claiming 8,960 CUDA cores. Okay, so what does that tell us? Well, also there's a bit more information, because they not only confirmed the information from VideoCard's leak, which was from Copite, but then again, asking their own add-in card sources. They're saying that they're expecting Nvidia to launch the complete RTX 50 series of graphics cards in the first half of 2025, which would include the 5090, the 5090D, which we would assume naming like the 4090D to be some kind of Chinese version to comply with U.S. sanctions and whatnot regarding AI-powered hardware. Anyway, the 5080, a 5070 Ti, a 5070, and all of those, so 5070 and up, are all listed as Q1, whereas the 5060 and 5060 Ti are listed as to be decided. In other words, they don't know yet when to expect these. And so, but again, they're still expecting the entire series to launch in the first half of 2025. So it's possible NVIDIA themselves haven't quite lined up exactly what they're doing with the 5060 class cards. Anyway, so the other thing their sources are apparently claiming is that, again, all of the cards will move to PCIe 5.0. As well as the lineup will also be fully converted to GDDR7 memory, indicating that all of them will be GDDR7. There won't be some weaker models that are still using GDDR6 or 6X. Again, according to this leak/rumor. Now, they're saying that would mean the cost for the memory would be much higher than the memory for the 40 series. Again, that's not a great look, right? So we'll have to see how much of the cost for the manufacturers gets passed on to the price for the consumers, and that's the speculation there. So here's what they have overall summarized in their lineup, is that they're expecting the 5090 with almost 22,000 CUDA cores and 32 gigabytes of GDDR7 memory, coming in with a TGP, they are listing this as TGP, as 600 watts. Now that sounds absolutely massive. I don't really want to believe that number, but that's the number that we have right now being thrown around. Anyway, the 5080 coming in at half the CUDA cores. I've reported on this before, and the leaks are staying strong on this one, that the 5080 will only have about half the CUDA cores of the 5090, which seems majorly cut back. And the memory would also be cut in half to 16 gigabytes, unless they eventually had a model that had like the 3 gigabyte GDDR7 sticks. But it doesn't look like the timing is going to line up for the availability of those. So that might get saved for a, maybe a super refresh with more memory. But for now, it's looking like a 16 gigabyte 5080. I don't hate 16 gigabytes, but it sure would have been nice to get a little bit more there. And they're saying 400 watts on that one. 5070 Ti coming in at 8,960. This is one of the newer leak rumor specs. 16 gigabytes on that card as well, and that one at 300 watts. I like 16 gigabytes on the 5070 Ti because previous generation we had the 4070 Ti at 12 gigabytes, which if there's expensive cards coming in at 12 gigabytes for the 50 series, that's going to be extremely disappointing, which is what we see here for the 5070. So depending on pricing, if this 5070 is very expensive, I don't like to see 12 gigabytes. I didn't hate it on the 4070, but that was a couple of years ago. We're, again, pushing and pushing forward. As we go on, you want more VRAM. Games want more VRAM, especially if you eventually push into the next console generation. If you want to use more things like ray tracing and frame generation. So 12 gigabytes feeling kind of borderline there for a 5070. So anyway, we'll have to see where the pricing's at on it. And then we see that apparently rumored at 6,400 CUDA cores. Now, keep in mind that CUDA core count and overall performance in games does not necessarily scale linearly because there's just other factors in play in how the game will perform. So do keep that in mind, where we're not saying the 5080 will be half the performance of the 5090 necessarily, but it is majorly cut down. However, from there, the 5070 Ti at almost 9,000 compared to less than 11,000 for the 5080, that doesn't seem like a massive step down. So if the 5070 Ti is priced reasonably, like priced a lot less than the 5080, I mean, depending on what the 5080 is, potentially this could end up being an interesting product. But again, we'll have to see where the pricing comes in on that. And again, the 5070, don't like to see 12 gigabytes on that. And again, less information coming in for the 5060 class products. So that's pretty much where we are at on all of these various leaks and rumors for the 50 series at this point. Other than one more thing on the laptop side, and this also indicates that the 50 series might be more expensive. Apparently, the RTX 4050 laptop GPU will not shut down production. It will remain in supply even after an RTX 5050 comes in. Now, that would only make sense if the RTX 4050 costs less than a 5050, indicating that the 50 series could cost more than the 40 series, unless there came with a major price reduction on the 4050. Where's all this information coming from anyway? Well, this is a WCCF Tech article where I found it, but they are getting this information from Weibo, where Thinking About the Future has posted. Now, Thinking About the Future here has claimed to work for Lenovo. So Lenovo does produce lots of laptops. If he really does work at Lenovo, then that would be an indication that he does have some information, and I believe has accurately leaked some stuff in the past indicating that he probably is actually a source within Lenovo. Anyway, so what is the direct quote? RTX 4050 laptop is the only 40 series laptop GPU that Nvidia will continue to supply after the 50 series graphics card is launched. The others will be discontinued and switched to the new 50 series. The coexistence of 4050 and 5050 means that the price of 4050 to 5050 will not be the same as the previous price. The above price increases step by step. Note, no internal price information. So again, that sounds to me like not saying he actually knows the pricing, just saying like, kind of speculating like I was, that if there's going to be a 4050 and a 5050, the 5050 is going to be more expensive, right? Anyway, now we're going to start talking about some Black Friday sales and whatnot, but as we do that, you need to be aware of things like this. So here's a Tom's Hardware article pointing it out, but I've mentioned this before when I'm talking about GPU pricing and things like that. Amazon can frequently get flooded with fake listings that are complete scams. You have to be careful of who is the actual seller when you're looking for products on Amazon. Currently, there has been a wave of 9800X 3D listings on Amazon for the ridiculously low $199, which obviously is fake. No, that's not you taking advantage of a pricing error. These aren't accounts that are shipped and sold by Amazon. These aren't official AMD stores or anything like that. They're just random sellers that don't have a lot of reviews with weird names, and you're not really getting your 9800X 3D for $199. It's a scam. So just be on the lookout for these various types of scam during Black Friday, because I know there's a lot of pressure to buy a good price instantly before it sells out. I get it, but just do be careful. Now, with that in mind, I will mention that some of the best priced GPU early Black Friday sales are unfortunately already sold out. The 7900 XT went as low as $619 on Newegg. I was going to bring this information to you, but it sold out by the time I was filming the video. We're also unfortunately seeing the 7900 GRE for $479.99 also already sold out. So those were, I think, the most exciting Black Friday deals, at least early Black Friday deals on GPUs. I'll go ahead and put links in the video description and or pinned comment to these. This is not a sponsored thing, but I will use affiliate links, just, full disclosure. That doesn't mean it costs you anything more if you buy through there. It's just a way I can fund the channel a little bit. Anyway, if you do end up buying anything, the point is, maybe these will get supply again. I don't know. I kind of doubt it by the time the Black Friday sale's over, but those were cool deals. Now, what other deals are available? I know a lot of people are, if you just look at market share, a lot of people want the Nvidia GPUs. I've got to be honest, AMD tends to get the better sales. But if you want the best sale I can find on an Nvidia GPU for an early Black Friday sale right now, I think the best option here is the RTX 4070 that is currently listed on Newegg if you count the $20 rebate, as low as $470. Now that is significantly lower than it usually is. The official MSRP originally was $600. After the 4070 Super launched at $600, the official MSRP moved to $550. And then you'd occasionally get sales around $520 to $530, $540, stuff like that's pretty common. Pricing as low as $500 is extremely rare, and for $490 minus $20 rebate is the lowest I've ever seen a brand new RTX 4070. Now again, when you get sales like this, it's usually not the most amazing cooler model or anything like that, so it is what it is. Also, do keep in mind that Nvidia is currently offering an Indiana Jones and the Great Circle game bundle with cards of the 4070 class and above, so not on the 4060s. Anyway, so you get Indiana Jones and the Great Circle along with a $470 RTX 4070, and that's the best Nvidia GPU deal I think I could find available right now. Now, for those of you who want the 16 gigabyte VRAM GPU from Nvidia, you're going to spend a lot. You can go with the 4070 Ti Super, and I'm finding this one available marked down to $739.99. And again, this is shipped and sold by Amazon and not a fake listing or something like that. I don't think this is the kind of deal I'd get incredibly excited about. But again, these are listed at about $800 most of the time. They do occasionally get discounted, but not usually this low. I think this is the lowest I remember seeing a brand new 4070 Ti Super. In my reviews, what I really say this has the most going for it for the 4070 Ti Super is that it has enough VRAM and ray tracing performance to basically do everything you would want for a 1440p GPU. You can play, as long as you're willing to use DLSS quality, or more aggressive, but at least DLSS quality, you can even do path tracing modes like RT Overdrive and Cyberpunk fairly comfortably on this card. Anything weaker than this, and you're making more compromises on those heavy-duty ray tracing experiences. So if you want the full NVIDIA everything, this is going to be the lowest priced way in, and I hate that I'm saying $740 is the lowest priced way in and all that. And again, you're getting new generation of cards coming pretty soon, so up to you if you want to jump in here. Now, if we switch to the AMD GPU side of things, this is where I think there's some more aggressive pricing. Like I said, the best one's already sold out, but let's just go pricing low to high and kind of go through all the deals I could find. I did find an RX 7600 finally priced about where I think it should have maybe started, which is $229.99. So at this pricing, I think this can make a lot of sense for somebody just looking to get a new GPU. The overall rasterized, so non-ray tracing performance is very close to an RTX 4060, which still sells closer to $300. 8 gigabytes of VRAM, I don't mind so much at $229.99. Don't like it so much when it was closer to $300 when the card first came out. So these prices have been slowly creeping down over time. It hasn't been uncommon to find them around $250 recently. But $229.99 I think is the lowest I have seen an RX 7600 brand new. This is the Predator Bifrost version at Newegg. Now, if you want more than 8 gigabytes of VRAM, there are a couple of options. They do cost more, but also have a bit more performance. The 7600 XT, which is a little bit faster, think of it kind of like an overclocked 7600 just out of the box. So not really making from a raw performance sense that much, of a price to performance scaling at $280 versus the $230 7600. But this does double the VRAM capacity to 16 gigabytes of VRAM. So if you want a 16 gigabyte card, this can make a lot of sense for you if that is the case. If you're just looking for raw performance and more than 8 gigabytes of VRAM, then this $269.99 RX 6700 XT is a little bit faster than the 7600 XT, but has 12 gigabytes of VRAM instead of 16. So anyway, if you're looking for GPUs under $300, all three of these make a lot of sense, depending on exactly what you're looking for. So there's that. Now, if we go up a little more expensive, again, the best deal I had seen was the $480 7900 GRE. Unfortunately, that's sold out right now. Going up from there, the best deal I had seen was the 7900 XT for $620. Unfortunately, that's sold out right now. And then up from here, I mean, I'll give this an honorable mention. It's not particularly exciting. The Best Buy has $830 7900 XTX. This is getting to the point where I wouldn't really want to be spending too much money right when we're about to get a new launch of a new generation of graphics cards. That's kind of where I'm at with that. You can make of it what you will. So those are my thoughts on the best current early Black Friday GPU deals. You can go ahead and take a look at them in the video description and or pinned comment if you're interested. Hope you guys found the video useful and or interesting. Huge thank you to channel members. Click the join button to directly fund what I do here. Massive thanks. And you can if you click the button, you can look at the little perks and things you get, membership badges in the comments, early access to some videos, all of that. Totally understand not everybody's in a financial position to do that. So also just huge thank you to viewers, commenters, subscribers. You're what makes this channel possible. Huge thank you, and I hope all of you have an excellent day.